Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. You're seeing this on Monday, but I'm recording it on a Friday. What does this mean? It means that you had to get through the whole weekend without my incisive, trenchant, relevant commentary. I hope you did. I hope you all survived. For those of you who did survive and who are alive, welcome back. If you're visiting me for the first time, then welcome, and you've been warned that next weekend you're going to have to get along without my commentary for 2 whole days. The weekend after that, the weekend after that. So if you're afraid of getting addicted to my videos, you should stop now. Okay. That's it. You had your chance. Video going ahead now. Today I want to talk about the Barr brouhaha again, because this subject just does not seem to want to die. I want to talk, well, I'm going to branch off into another subject that will be launched from this subject. So just bear with me for a second. All I want to say is that for those of you who watched the hearing, Richard Blumenthal, a senator from Connecticut, made a big deal about, well, all the Democrats just about have been making a big deal out of Barr's letters summarizing the conclusions, not the report, just the conclusions of the Mueller report, accusing him of misrepresenting what was in the report. As I said in the last video, the very same Washington Post article that brought to our attention this leaked letter also reported a phone conversation shortly after the release of that letter between Barr and Mueller, where Barr specifically asked Mueller if Mueller thought that Barr's letter was inaccurate. Mueller said no, according to Barr and according to the reporting. The Democrats refused to believe that. In response to this accusation, Lindsey Graham did the obvious thing. He sent a letter to Mueller saying this. Forgive me if my eyes wander. I'm reading the letter directly from a computer screen behind the camera. In response to questions by Senator Blumenthal, the Attorney General testified in essence that you, meaning Mueller, told him, that's Barr, in a phone call that you did not challenge the accuracy of the Attorney General's summary of your report's principal conclusions, but rather you wanted more of the report, particularly the executive summaries concerning obstruction of justice, to be released promptly. In particular, Attorney General Barr testified that you believed media coverage of your investigation was unfair without the public release of those summaries. Please inform the committee if you would like to provide testimony regarding any misrepresentation by the Attorney General of the substance of that phone call. In other words, Lindsey Graham did the obvious. Rather than litigate the issue on the dais of the Senate Judiciary Committee, rather than argue back and forth in the media, simply write a letter to Mueller to give him the opportunity to refute Barr if he wanted to. Ideally, Mueller will write back that the reporting in the Washington Post was indeed accurate, meaning that Barr's letter was indeed accurate. Second best, less than ideal, but almost ideal, would be for Mueller to decline to come to testify and refute Barr's letter. The presumption would have to be then that, again, Barr's letter was accurate. The third alternative, which would be bad for Donald Trump and his supporters, but good for the Democrats, would be if Mueller confirmed Blumenthal's accusation and said that Barr's letter was inaccurate. But any way you cut it, that settles the argument. That is the logical, reasonable thing to do. Much better than eating Kentucky Fried Chicken on the dais of the House Judiciary Committee. Which brings me to my main subject for today, which is Lindsey Graham himself. I said in my preceding video that in the 2016 election, I was a never-Trumper. I actually sat out the election because I just could not bring myself to vote for Donald Trump. I could not bring myself to vote for Hillary Clinton. And full disclosure, let's be honest, I was living in New York at that time, New York City. There was not a chance that Donald Trump was going to carry New York. So I got a freebie there. I'll just be honest about that. But if I had been in a state where my vote would have made a difference, I'm reasonably confident that I still would not have voted for Trump or Hillary or anybody. I would have stayed home. The reason I did not vote for Trump was because I lived in New York for 40 years. I watched Trump's entire rise from when he first bought the Commodore Hotel in, I think, 1974, in the early to mid 70s. That was the launch of his career. Turned it into the Hyatt. I won't get into that, but I watched his whole career, his whole rise from being a 25-year-old wunderkind to President of the United States. I always thought of him as a Democrat, as a liberal Democrat, and my concern was that he was pulling the wool over his supporters' eyes and the Republican Party's eyes, and that once in office, he would show his supposed true colors and become a liberal Democrat and govern as a liberal Democrat and betray the people who supported him. I have to say today that I've been pleasantly surprised. He's been a very conservative president. Whatever I thought of him before, I have to admit that on that account I was wrong. I disagree with him on some things, especially trade. I think he's wrong on that. I appreciate what he's doing with China. I think there are a couple of things he could do differently, but by and large I have been pleasantly surprised, especially the appointment of conservative judges. Remember, people were afraid that he would nominate his very liberal sister, who is a judge, to the Supreme Court. He didn't do that. Instead, he went to the Federalist Society, got a list from them of judges approved by them. He's been working from that list, at least for the Supreme Court nominations. I've been very satisfied with that. If you've been following the news, it was just recently reported that he just had his 100th judge confirmed. For us conservatives, that is excellent. I am looking forward to the day when we have a conservative majority on the Ninth Circuit, and especially hearkening back to my former residency in New York, doing something about the Second Circuit, because they are a liberal court. They've been terrible, especially on gun rights, which is one of the reasons I moved to Tennessee. I'll talk about this in a future video, I hope, if I can remember, if I have time. But as much as I want to credit Trump with these 100, actually I think it's up to 102 by now, and counting. There will be more. As much as I want to credit him with the appointment of these judges, we have to recognize a couple most valuable players. One of them, of course, is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, another Republican who got a lot of abuse from Trump supporters that I always thought from the very beginning was undeserved. He has been, for conservatives, one of the best majority leaders in the Senate that we have ever had. He deserves a great deal of credit for eliminating the filibuster rule for all federal judges. That's the reason Trump has been able to get so many judges through, because the Democrats can no longer filibuster those appointments. It's just pure obstruction. That's all it was, and that brings me to Lindsey Graham. Chuck Grassley, of course, was the chairman right up until 2019. He deserves the lion's share of the credit for getting Trump's appointees through the Judiciary Committee. His contribution was to eliminate the customary, typical, almost always honoring of blue slips. What is a blue slip? Most of you probably know. I hope the kind of well-informed viewer who is watching this vlog, but for those of you who have just stumbled in, a blue slip has no legal weight or meaning. It's basically just a consent by a senator to the appointment of a judge from that senator's state. in the past, with rare exceptions, it's just been a perfunctory courtesy. That's all it's been. But Democratic senators have been using the customary courtesy blue slip process as another delaying tactic. Democrats have been using, or I should say they've been abusing, the blue slip process to deny consent to Trump judicial appointees from their state. Grassley stopped that, and since becoming the new chairman, Lindsey Graham has continued that tradition. But this is the main topic I wanted to get to about Lindsey Graham, which is simply to ask this question: what the heck happened to Lindsey Graham? I had in the past, I'm sure many of you too, maybe perhaps most of you, perhaps even all of you, have thought of Lindsey Graham as John McCain's shadow. Just somebody who hung on to John McCain's coattails, the late John McCain, and pretty much just followed whatever McCain was doing. Whatever McCain said, Lindsey Graham would just echo what he said. He never really spoke up. I don't want to use the word milquetoast. I would just say he was reserved. He never really put himself forward. Since McCain died, he's completely different, or he's the same, but we're getting a lot more of him. And what I've been getting, I have really appreciated and liked. For me, the transformative Lindsey Graham moment came during the judiciary hearings for the confirmation of now Justice Kavanaugh, where he just laid in to the Democrats, where he told them flat out, y'all want power, God, I hope you don't get it. That was the clearest, strongest statement on their conduct then and actually ever since that I have ever heard. I was so pleased to hear him say that, and ever since he said that, he's just been a bulldog in pursuing the appointment of these justices and for calling out, this is the important thing, for calling out Democrats on their obstructionism and their just plain mean-spiritedness. That's my subject for today. I just wanted to say, if you get to hear this, Lindsey Graham, more power to you. You're doing a good job. We appreciate it. Don't stop, and in fact, more of the same. As for the rest of y'all watching this, and oh boy, only been here since January in Tennessee, I'm already saying y'all. Maybe it's because Lindsey Graham is from South Carolina. Well, what the heck? Y'all come back now. That's it, right? Y'all come back now. But before y'all come back now, before y'all go away and then come back now, thumbs up if you like this video. If you think other people would benefit from the video, then share the video. Subscribe so you won't miss future videos. If you like this one so much that you don't want to miss a future one, your comments are welcome in the comments below the video. If you have an idea for the subject that you would like me to comment on, let me know. I would love to hear from you. That's it. Well, I can't say have a nice weekend, because when you're seeing this, the weekend is over. So I hope you had a nice weekend. Bye.